This may be the single most important Excel feature beginners completely ignore. Most people think Excel tables are just colors and formatting. They're not. Tables can automatically expand your formulas, organize your data, power your pivot tables, improve your reports, and make Excel dramatically easier to manage. In this video, I'll show you why this hidden feature changes everything.
So I have the practice file open here, and on this sheet is what looks very much like a table. Over here in column L is a little summary table. And if you have a look, you can see that we're using two functions to calculate the average length of time people stay and the total revenue. If I click in these cells, have a look at the formula bar. Wow, that looks complicated, doesn't it? What are all these? Goodness me, that's not very easy to understand at all. The second one is the total. And if I click in there, you can see that that is being calculated using a SUMIF function. And the other one was an average if, but again, it isn't obvious what's happening in either of these calculations. Never mind, we'll move on. Let's say that we've just been given some new figures and asked to add them to what we've already got. Sound familiar? Yeah, this is exactly the sort of thing Excel users do day in, day out. I've got some new figures here. They're on another sheet called Extra Data. So if I just go over to that sheet, there's the data. I'm just going to select them and then Control and C to copy that data, return to my ordinary sheet again. And if I go straight down to the bottom of the sheet, I'm just going to click in the first blank cell, Control and V to paste. And there we go. Oh no, this formula, it hasn't filled in. So I'll have to drag those down to the bottom of the column. Let's have a look at the summary cells. If I just go back up here, and nothing's changed. Okay, that's a nuisance, isn't it? So, in fact, we could remove all of this friction in just a couple of clicks. You see, because the Format as a Table command here is on the Home tab of the ribbon, a lot of people think that it just refers to colors, styling, and appearance. And in fact, that couldn't be further from the truth. I've got another version of exactly the same data here, and this time I have actually turned it into a table. Once again, if I click in a cell, you'll see the table design ribbon pop up here. If I click on that, you'll see that there's a lot of commands here dedicated to the table itself. And you can also see over here that we've given this table a name, flights. Now, that makes a lot more sense. So if we click in the calculation panel again here, let's click in the average stay. Remember what the other one looked like? How about this? Average if flights, that's the name of the table, country, well, that's the name of the field, and then L10, that's the cell that contains the name of the country, and then flights and nights. So it's a lot easier to read. Absolutely brilliant. If I go to the other one, have a look at that one, you can see again the SUMIF function is referring to the same table, flights, but this time it's the country field. L10 is the cell that contains the variable, the name of the country, and then we've got flights and revenue. So it's much, much easier to read. Also, if I click in that cell and double click it, you can now see what each is referring to. SUMIF, the flights country field, there's the cell that's got the criteria in it, and then the flights revenue. And you see the little tooltip underneath tells you each of the steps for that SUMIF calculation. So that's really much, much easier. Okay, everything is now laid out in plain English. So let's add the new data to it and see what difference that makes. Once again, I'll go over to the extra data sheet, copy that data, so Control and C. This time I'll go back to my table, and then we'll scroll down once again to the bottom of the sheet, click in the first blank cell underneath the table itself, and then paste. And this time, wow, look at that. So all the extra data that we had referring to Italy has now been added to the table. Each of these formulas has now been calculated automatically. And if we now go back up and have a look at the summary panel, there it is, and look at that. Everything has now been updated automatically because we've used a table. So in this simple example, I hope you can see that just by using a table instead of a standard range, we've added automation, we've added structure, and we've added scalability. This is one of the reasons why tables are so important, and to be honest, there are so many other reasons we don't have time to explain here. So I hope you found this useful, and if you did, please like, share, and consider subscribing to this channel. I do have a full Microsoft 365 course on udemy.com, and you'll find a discount link in the description, especially for YouTube viewers. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again on the next tutorial. Bye for now.